Hello, Cedric Biggie here, and today we are going to be talking about amortization schedules. Now, you're like, what's that mean, Cedric? Well, just in case you didn't know, you would think you're like, all right, when I pay off my loan, it just pays off easily, simply, right? Simple interest. So at year 15 on a 30-year loan, you're like, dude, I own 50% of this, dude, right? Like, that's so sick. Not true. You probably own like 33-ish percent. Like, that's not true, because they don't weight the interest and principal payments equally per payment, right? So in the beginning, you pay interest. First payment will be like 99% interest, and then your principal payment will be like 1%. That's on your first payment. Now on your last payment, the opposite is true, right? 1% goes to interest and 99% would go to principal. Now, when rates were only like 2%, a lot of people were just like, me, I'm not going to pay down my rate. I'm not going to pay down my loan, right? But nowadays, I wouldn't say that. I mean, people are at 6%, right? And you're like, well, 6% isn't that bad. But the thing that people also forget is since they front loaded this interest and the average buyer is only owning the house for 5 to 7 years, right? They own it for 5 to 7 years at a 6% mortgage rate. How much do you think they're going to own of the actual house in 5 to 7 years? Probably somewhere in the realm of maybe 10%, right? They might own 10% of the house before they sell it, so that bank owns 90% of the house, and pretty much all the payments they made were just to interest. So they do that to offset their risk as the bank lending the money. But people need to understand that, hey, at 6%, it probably makes sense. You add another 2K, another 2 payments, whatever you want to think about it. You can take multiple years off of your mortgage because every single payment you make outside of the normal schedule are just principal payments. And generally speaking, there are penalties for paying off early, but those penalties occur usually in the first 6 months to a year, not 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, right? And the other reason why you're like, well, why don't I go with a 15-year mortgage? Well, hey, now you're locked into that number when you go with a 15-year. But if you go with a 30-year and just make those extra payments, hard times come, you will be good. So stay connected with your buddy Biggie so you can really learn the real stuff.